Hello and welcome to the Surplus Geek podcast. I'm Jake and wait a second. Hold the phone here. Hey, you guys can see me. Yeah, that's right. This is a video. So, this is not the way I thought my first video was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be a Q&A, but I'm doing it anyways. So this is the set that I came up with. It's going to change depending on the video, topic, whatnot, and so forth. That being said, today is a Q&A. And I asked people who follow me on Instagram to submit questions. So let's just get right into it and start answering. The first question is from Gassy Fatso, who I have to give a specific shout out for helping me out and getting the word out there so I can get more questions. I wouldn't have been able to do this without him, so big thank you to him. His question was, is the imposter sus? If you know it's the imposter, it's probably sus. Yeah. Moving on from that, the second question is, what got me started in collecting? And this came from two different people, Kaylee and Pedro. Thank you for the question. This is kind of a long one, so I put this one. This one came up really second, but it's really the first full question. I put it there because it does require some explanation and a little, detail. The really simple way of looking at it is I've been into military, surplus, history, all of that combined my whole entire life. And so, it made sense that eventually I'd start collecting. I started collecting, I guess you could say, in 2008, 2009, somewhere in that ballpark. I bought an M40 off eBay for $100. It was like a full kit. Pretty excited to get that, and that was around, like I said, 2008, 2009. So I was in high school, and I actually have it right here. It's been deharnessed because I was cleaning it, but this is my first piece, and I still have it. And there's a reason why the Surplus Geek logo is an M40 or M40-esque, because this remains huge in my collection. What got me really into collecting, though, was in 2013, I joined the National Guard as an 11 Bravo infantryman, and I did 6 years in the Guard, and about partway through 2016, 2017 is when I realized, I have money now. I'm an adult. I can buy things. I have a job. So I started buying things, and it's gone to the extremes that it is now. So that's kind of how I got started. I guess really it was just the basic idea of wanting to serve, which I did, combined with wanting to collect, which I'm doing. And that's pretty much it. I could go more into why I wanted to serve and stuff. There's a whole backstory on that. If you guys want to know about me serving and all that, I don't really talk about, or I allude to it, but I don't really talking about it. I can do a video on it. I can talk about it. Behind me, all of the patches, and they're in one of my posts. Those are all the patches the units that I served with. I served with one unit, but we changed unit patch 3 times or 2 times. So, if you guys want to know more about that can be a whole separate video if you want. I can do a whole thing on that, or a whole separate episode in the podcast. Just leave a comment below or message me on Instagram or something. I forgot to mention this earlier, so whoops. But if you're listening to this on a podcast format, that earlier bit with me, the camera and whatnot, not going to make any sense to you, so I apologize for that. But anyways, moving on. So the next one, I got 2 questions from one individual. And yeah, you could ask more than one question, so in the future, ask away. The first one they asked was, have I ever thought about teaching history? And of course, but honestly, I went to college for a little while. I dropped out. Wasn't really for me. That's when I joined the military. I don't want to be restricted in what I can talk about and how I talk about it and how I teach it and stuff. And that's actually why I started Surplus Geek in the first place. It wasn't called that then. I've been working on this behind the scenes for a few years now, since 2016, 2017. It's just taking me forever to get off the ground because life gets in the way. So really, this is how I want to teach history, and I'm going to do it through the channel. And that's the goal, I guess. It's not just about collecting, it's also about the history behind the pieces. And as I post on Instagram, you'll see that I'm starting to add a little bit more background information on a piece than I used to do. I'm getting a little bit more in depth with those things. So I will continue to do that, but eventually it will branch into video form. I was hoping to already be on that whole scene by now. By July was my goal. January was my original goal, and that really, I did not meet that by any stretch of the imagination. So now I'm on July was my new set goal to have the first video out and stuff. I have it actually mostly written out, so that's coming. The second question, and the both questions are by TWW Militaria on Instagram, so go check them out. The second question was, any regrets about your collecting career, things you would have changed? Honestly, the biggest regret I have is starting so late. Wasting money when I was younger on things that didn't matter, like alcohol and partying and stuff like that, and spending more money on this and really focusing what I'm spending my money on and having it, all the things that I wish I would have, there's stuff that I bought that I'm glad I have, but I could have spent that money on more important or more specific items and had a more tailored collection instead of just being kind of scattershot like I am. And I'm still very scattershot at, what I buy and stuff. So that's one thing that I, looking back on, would change. So thank you for that question. Moving on. What is the worst experience you've had with an item you received? This is from Abraham WRC. I honestly haven't had that many bad experiences. It really haven't had any real bad experiences. The only one I could think of is I bought a Canadian C4 gas mask, and I have it somewhere in that pile of bins. It was completely smoked out. It smells, reeks of smoke, of cigarette smoke, and it's just, I've tried cleaning it. There's no way to get it out. Everything's tinged yellow. So unfortunately, and it was missing the exhale valve on the right side. The whole assembly is just gone. It's ripped off. So I bought it knowing it was going to be, not a perfect specimen, but it's completely smoked out. Luckily I didn't pay a lot of money for it, but I would say that's my worst experience so far. Knock on wood that I don't have anything near me that's wood, so I'm screwed now. But hopefully, that's the worst I get at. The next question is, what is the gas mask I want the most? By Real War Turtle. Honestly, it's cliche. I'd love an XM40. It doesn't matter if it's ILC Dover or a Scott, or even if it's a 1988 M40. I obviously have an affinity for the M40 series of Pro Mass. It's, but that's one. I guess another thing would be XM44, something in that line, because I think I love the idea of the XM44, it being like it being an evolution of the M40 going to the M45, but it's that merging of parts. I love the aesthetic of it, and obviously the historical value of it is important. But yeah, those are the two things that I would love to have. I don't expect to probably ever have them because I'm pretty priced out on that market. The last XM44 XM44 that sold on eBay, I think sold for $1,300. So I unfortunately do not have that kind of money. Not gonna happen. So thanks for that question again. The next question, can I be part of your podcast? From Roe Seaburn. Robert from Roe Seaburn. There you go. You're now part of it. So moving on from that question. Now I'm just kidding. Yes, I will contact you soon. I'm trying to figure out a good way to do online. It seems trivial, but to get good quality across the internet can be very difficult. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. You're also not sitting across from the person, so it's hard to line things up. There's lag. I know everyone does it anyways, but I'm a bit of stickler for detail and perfection. So I'm trying to figure it out. I will contact you and a couple other people. There's a couple people I really want to have on. So I will get to you at sometime in the near future when I figure it out. But yes, I would love to have you on the podcast. So Robert from Roe Seaburn, I hope to talk to you soon about that. So you'll hear from me soon, hopefully. Next question. Strangest item you've found, from Luna Geek. Another excellent Instagrammer. I don't actually know how to respond to this one because I don't really know what constitutes strange. I don't really have anything um, that is super strange that I can think of offhand. As I look at the huge stock of surplus that I have, um, honestly, it's all pretty standard. I mean, I have a few experimental items. I have that French G1. I guess that's what I've been able to find. G1 Pro Mask, protective mask. Um, I guess it's not experimental. I've been told it's not. Although, I mean, how many of them really are out there? What constitutes experimental? I don't know. I'm not going to get into that, but that kind of bothered me. But that being said, that would probably be the weirdest thing that I came across, and it cost pretty penny. So I like that item too. It's a cool little piece. But I don't know if it's constitutes strange. That's just for me. I don't know. Nothing's really strange to me because it's all a piece of something. It's all, I guess there's probably a few items, but I can't think of anything on the top of my head. And I've been thinking about this since you submitted that question. So I don't know. I know it's kind of a cop out on an answer, but best I can do. So moving on from that, and that was a good question, to another great question. Future impression, kit plans, whatnot from UFO Militaria, another great Instagrammer who I would like to have on the podcast eventually. I got a lot of different kits that I've been working on. Vietnam Grenadier kit. I would have a good, I bought a M79, Airsoft M79, but the receiver, not the wood, but the actual receiver is literally snapped in two, and I've been waiting for a replacement on that. So one day, and that's for like 3 months now, because it's got shipped from Hong Kong to the United States and then shipped to me. No idea when I'm going to get that. I also eventually I'm going to do my dad, what he would have worn a lot of times in exercises. My dad was first cav in the late 80s as a 45 kilo tank turret repairman, which that MOS does not exist anymore. So that's coming. I want to do early Vietnam along with advisor era Vietnam. So like early 1965-ish. I know that's not really early, but early in terms of actual combat. And then advisor level, 62 to 64 era is something that I'd love to jump into. And that will happen whenever I get money. And then beyond that, I do eventually want to push into Korea, World War II, World War I, going all the way back. I'm particularly interested in World War I and World War II because the units that I've served under, their heritage, their lineage goes back. Obviously, National Guard didn't participate in Vietnam, so I can't do anything there. But World War II and World War I, there's direct, 26 infantry goes all the way back, to that point. So we wore a French fourragère on our dress uniforms, which direct lineage, that goes, the French fourragère, pretty sure that one's from World War I or is tied to the actions during World War I. So stuff like that, yeah, I definitely would love to get into that. But specifically, future kits, and probably Kosovo, late 90s Kosovo. That's another one that is on my list. And I might eventually go into an invasion, U.S. Army invasion of Iraq 2003 kit, but I haven't decided how late I want to go, because I know people who I served with who were part of, that era. So it's weird to be doing that for me. It's not weird for anyone else to do. It's just weird for me because just that concept. But I think it's enough rambling about that. The next question I don't actually really know the answer to, so I hope someone else has the answer. I tried Googling it, but I could not get a definitive. It's, do ARVN Ranger helmets have corking or texture, or are they smooth? And this is from any war militaria. From my guesstimation, from what I was able to Google, you would probably find both because, the corking would probably happen. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that most ARVN helmets were just stocks of M1s from the US that were just held over, so they probably got anything from before. So I'd assume that some of them are probably smooth because it's just grinding away at paint, repainting, refinishing, all that stuff happening. I'm not really sure. I couldn't figure out an exact answer on that. But I hope someone, if you know the answer, can you please comment it or even just send it to them? Because I have no idea. So I'm sorry about that. Next answer is, do you know anything or next question. Wow. Do you know anything about development of the M45? If so, what or why does the M45 have such smaller lenses? Why the shape and why not larger? And that's from Banana. And I don't know everything about the M45. There's definitely people in the community that know way more. I shouldn't even have to say the name. But from my limited knowledge on it, it's because the M45, like a lot of other masks from that era that are designed with aircrew in mind, the lenses actually sit closer to your eyes, so you actually have peripheral vision. And I know for a fact that the M45 has better overall field of view than even an M40. So it's in that case, it's not the size, it's the closeness to your eyes and how much that affects your ability to look out with peripheral, because peripheral is extremely important, especially when you're wearing a pro mask. You lose almost everything. So that's from what I know. I tried Googling it real quick, and I'm pretty sure that's what I got from it. So I would ask around just to double check. I'm not an expert on that, but that's my limited guess. And yes, I do call them pro masks. I know that irks some people. I call them pro masks because that's what we call them in the service. They're pro masks. Protective masks, pro masks. I'm sorry if that irks you. It's a habit. It's just what we call them. It just is what it is. So moving on. This next question I love, and this was a hard one because it's a good question. U.S. equipment not in service that you feel is still practical in current gen warfare, and why? And this is from Balkans Militaria. I love this question because it's one of those kind of, not what ifs, but like what can or what do. So this one's hard because, I served with the current Molly 2 system. I didn't get issued a TAP vest, but I've heard from guys that the tactical assault panel vest sucks. So your mileage may vary with those. Some people love them, some people hate them. But I've heard from a lot of guys that didn't like them. But I had a Molly 2 flick, and I liked the flick. I thought the flick was pretty good. The Molly 2 ruck is okay. The Molly 2, that's the large ruck. The medium ruck is amazing. The assault pack is amazing. So trying to figure out what fits into that era or into the modern day from previous eras and stuff is hard because, like, obviously some people are going to say Alice. Alice rucks are still very viable in that role, especially in a medium role. Although that medium rucksack the Molly 2 medium rucksack is an amazing pack. So I couldn't really think of an amazing example. I would say that Alice gear in general, I could still see some usage in modern day, especially in terms of a battle belt setup, because the Molly 2 system doesn't really allow for integrated battle belt in the same way. The original Molly 2 or Molly 1 kind of did, but something like the load bearing tactical vest there, where you could attach an Alice belt to the bottom and stuff, that ability to have kind of a tactical, or a battle belt, something like that, Alice gives you that ability and stuff. So I would say something in that line, because battle belts are becoming kind of the thing, or have become the thing for a couple years now. Other than that, I really can't think of anything off the top of my head that really stands out in a way that would be still practical. So I hope that answered that question, because I honestly, that was a really good question, and I like to see people's answers to it. And if they have anything that I'm not thinking of that you think would be, great. The next question is, do you think specializing in a certain type of mask limits your expertise? And that's from Pentapix collections, sorry. Yes and no. I think this is one of those, we kind of touched on this, me and Bailey, in the podcast a little bit, but it's in that realm of, yes, it does limit your expertise if you really focus on one thing, but if you become an SME or subject matter expert, that there's a value in that overtakes not having knowledge in other fields. So it depends on how you look at it. It depends on what you're doing. It depends on your collection. If you focus on say specifically aircrew mass, or you focus on industrial, or you focus on only infantry, or or you focus on just web gear, or whatever your if it doesn't have to be mass, I guess, whatever your expertise you want to focus on. Again, I'm a scatter shot kind of person where I'm scatter shotting and just picking things up and just going with it. I have more broad knowledge. I'm more of a jack of all trades than I am a master of anything. So there's only one thing I've ever been, I would say, even close to an SME, and that was the toe. That's the only thing that I can ever say that I was ever close to being master. And not even a master. I would just say an SME, a subject matter expert, kind of. I was pretty good on that system. Not master gunnery, but level, but like one step below. So I would say yes and no. I think that one it's all about you and why you're collecting, or why your expertise, why you're having such an expertise in something, or why you're focusing on something. Or if you're like me, where you want to have kind of a broad overview and stuff. So I think that answers that. And I think this is the last question. Yep. This is the last question, and it is from what country's military do you find interesting besides the U.S.? And it's from Foss Seaburn. Honestly, I find I do collect some foreign military surplus. That whole side is all foreign mass for the most part. Or yeah, it is. So I have a Mark 6, Mark 7 British helmet. I have I have a couple other foreign helmets. I have more foreign mass, but I would say British equipment, especially that 80s, 70s, 80s British equipment. I do find that era very interesting. I love the idea of comparing British equipment with American equipment and seeing some of the similar paths and different paths. Same thing with 80s, 70s, 80s German equipment, French equipment, and then flipping over to the other side in the Warsaw Pact and going East German and Czech equipment, and all the differences, Romanian, and some of the differences those countries have with the Soviet Russian forces, and how they kind of all, like the Romanians they went their own path, and the Czechs have their own path, and that stuff's really cool to me. I like that, not that independence enough to have your own development. So I would say that definitely. And then you could add in Australia into the mix, especially, some of the things Australia had during the Vietnam conflict and what they added and brought to the table and stuff. So I'd say, yeah, definitely a lot of different nations, but primarily Europe in general, just the differences, especially 70s, 80s. Cold War Europe, very interesting, and how different problems were solved by different nations. It's very... just cool, so I would definitely say that's why I put that, and I hope that answers the question. So hopefully you enjoyed this Q&A. Hopefully I didn't sound like a complete idiot, and I hope that I could do more videos in the future. This is very difficult to set up because I am very limited on space. I did not, this is just, not the way I wanted to do it, but this is roughly the set. Not exactly how I wanted it, but I set it up very quickly. I had to make room. I had to move Mustache Manny over to that corner, so he's out of the way, but I gotta do some more stuff there. So hopefully that, this pretty much wraps it up. If I'm gonna put this up on both all the podcast websites that I use and YouTube, obviously it's being a video. And I hope you guys like it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you subscribe to the YouTube. I hope you come back for more. And I hope I can bring you guys back for some more. And I'm not super, I'm getting up to the busy season at work. So I don't know what the next month is going to be. But I'm hoping that I can try to start getting these videos out. I have tons of ideas and tons of things that I want to put into video form and stuff. So I'm trying to get it done. It's just, time is not my friend. Money and time is not my friend. So if I can figure it out, great. We'll see. So with that, I'm going to stop rambling because I can ramble forever. And I will say, I hope you guys have a good whatever, wherever you are. Good night, good morning, good afternoon. And I hope this video comes out by the end of the weekend. I apologize if it doesn't. and I might be streaming on Twitch if this comes out by tomorrow, Saturday. I'll probably be streaming on Twitch by the time it comes out, so maybe. I'm not. Don't hold me to it, or you can hold me to it, and then I'll figure it out. All right, that's it. So see you later.